Are you an avid internet user? If so, then you've come to the right place. We've all had our share of creepy encounters while browsing online, from weird comments on YouTube videos to unnerving emails from people we don't know. But those are just small potatoes compared to the horrifying experiences some have had while surfing the web. From disturbing fan encounters to messages from beyond the grave, here are 7 disturbing true horror stories about creepy online encounters. Number 7. The stalker who crossed over. There are many reasons why stalking someone is wrong. For one, it makes the victim extremely uncomfortable. Secondly, it can be illegal. And finally, in rare cases, it can cost the stalker their life. Back in 2014, a young mom named Marisa Hogila had a terrifying experience with a stalker named David Joseph Reck. It all started when Marisa posted pictures of herself on her Facebook page. She had no idea that she was soon going to regret that decision. One person who saw the pictures was David, a man who was obsessed with a woman. He would later go on to stalk her via Facebook, sending her creepy messages like, "You are beautiful and I want to be your friend." Marisa tried to ignore him, but he kept sending message after creepy message. She blocked him on Facebook only for him to contact her through other platforms. Eventually, Marisa decided to confront the creep. She sent him a message asking what he wanted and how he got her phone number. That was when things took a dark turn. Instead of backing off, he continued to harass her until one day he showed up at her house. Marisa immediately called the police, and David was arrested. But he wasn't done with his obsession just yet. He escaped from prison a few months later and kidnapped Marisa. He held her captive in his car for 2 days before she managed to escape. In the meantime, her family went on a massive search mission to find her. Unfortunately, they were too late, because David had already taken his own life. No. 6. A terrifying email. Do you get spooked easily? If so, then you might want to skip this story. It comes from a Reddit user who received a disturbing email from someone who was supposed to be dead. They wrote, 3 years ago, my brother-in-law, my husband and I were out celebrating my husband's birthday. My brother-in-law got an email from his ex-wife last night. The contents of the email made no sense, and there were several grammatical errors. The most disturbing part was the email was from her informing him that she had passed away 6 months prior to this email being sent. My brother-in-law hadn't been informed of her death. Neither had any of her family or friends. My brother-in-law was freaked out by this. He didn't respond and figured that it must have been a hacker. But then he received another email from the same address. It read, "Just making sure that you got my message. My brother called the police, who unfortunately were unable to track down the sender of the email." The case remains unsolved to this very day. Number 5. Friends Sometimes being reunited with old friends can be a good thing. Just ask this Reddit user who recently ran into a creepy acquaintance online. They said, "I was 13 years old when I stopped speaking to someone I'll call Tom. We had been friends since kindergarten, and stopped being friends because he and his parents moved away. Fast forward to a couple weeks ago, I was homesick from school and looking through old yearbooks online. I found Tom's page and he had tagged himself in several photos. I messaged him and asked if he was still living in Florida. He replied that he was visiting from New York, which is where he lives now. We made plans to hang out. When the day came around, I went to the mall by myself to meet him. After a little bit, I spotted him walking towards me. I said hello and we started talking. He was acting really weird, like he was trying to keep the conversation short. He seemed distracted, and I could see that he was searching on his phone while we were talking. He said that he had to leave soon because his flight was at 6 p.m. I should mention that his flight was scheduled for 10 p.m. I thought it was odd that he was leaving so early, but I shrugged it off. I walked him to his car and he suddenly asked me for a ride to the airport. I told him that I couldn't and that he should call a taxi. He insisted and promised to pay me back. I caved and drove him to the airport. As soon as we arrived, he thanked me and rushed to check in. I watched him walk through the doors. It was then that I noticed that he had 2 suitcases, which explained why he had asked me for a ride. His flight was also scheduled for 10 p.m., not 6 p.m. To this day, I'm wondering why he lied and invited me to the mall. I feel like he was trying to lure me somewhere else. Number 4. Uninvited guest. Imagine getting a message from someone who's not supposed to be alive. That's exactly what happened to this Reddit user who received a shocking message from his dead friend. He said, "I grew up with a boy who I'll call Joe. We lost touch after high school, but I never forgot about him. On June 2010, he was killed in a motorcycle accident. His family was devastated, and so were we all." 3 years later, I was browsing through Facebook and I received a friend request from Joe. I was shocked, but I accepted it anyway. A week later, he sent me a message saying, "Long time no see. How have you been? I was weirded out, but I replied to his message anyway. All he did was respond with a smiley face. I never heard from him again, and his account became inactive. Coincidentally, it was 1 year after the anniversary of his death. It gave me the willies. Number 3. Wrong number. Do you ever get prank calls? If so, then you probably know how annoying they can be. But every once in a while, you might receive a call that's more sinister than a prank. That was the case for this Reddit user who received a call from a haunted land. They said, "I was 17 years old when I got the call," I answered, and a woman started crying. She said, "Is this Sarah?" I replied, "No, you have the wrong number." But she insisted that I was the person she was looking for. She started asking me personal questions that only Sarah would know the answers to. I was terrified. I hung up the phone and blocked the number. But she kept calling over and over again. Each time I answered, she would ask me the same questions. I eventually picked up the phone and yelled at her to stop calling. That's when she revealed the horrifying truth. She told me that she had passed away and that I was now in her body. I immediately dropped the phone and blocked the number. I haven't received a call from that number since. I've always wondered if I'd really did speak to a ghost that day. Number 2. Hiding in the shadows. Would you stay in a haunted house? Probably not. Well, this Reddit user did, and it was one of their biggest regrets. They said, "I moved into a new apartment, and I was the first person to live there. It was cheap because it was supposedly haunted. People who worked there told me that there was a girl who died in the building 40 years ago. Anyway, I moved in anyway, and I started hearing chains dragging metal moans. I saw a white figure standing at the end of my bed. I even saw what looked like a little girl in a Victorian nightgown. I was freaked out and decided to research the history of the apartment building. That's when I found out the truth. The ghost of a young girl named Beatrice was indeed haunting the apartment. Apparently, she had been abused by her father and starved to death. No wonder she was so angry. To make matters worse, I learned that her spirit was bound to the apartment because a killer was never caught. I couldn't take it anymore and I moved out the next day. Number 1. Hidden profile. Is it wrong to stalk your crush on social media? Maybe, but it's something we've all done. That includes this Reddit user who had a creepy encounter with her crush on Instagram. She said, "I was scrolling through Instagram and I saw a profile that was following my friends. I decided to check out the profile and it turned out to be a guy that my friend had a huge crush on. He was a musician who lived thousands of miles away. My friend had been following him for quite a while, and she was absolutely obsessed, but he didn't know she existed. I suggested that she message him, so that he could finally notice her. After messaging him for a while, he finally responded. My friend was ecstatic. They started dating almost immediately, but she had one condition. She wanted to meet in person. He reluctantly agreed, but insisted that she'll fly to him instead of the other way around. My friend went anyway. But when she arrived, she realized that he wasn't the same person he was online. He was much older and creepier. To make matters worse, he had been married the entire time. He had only been catfishing her. Needless to say, my friend left the country feeling embarrassed and betrayed. Which one of these stories was the most terrifying? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe.